YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is Timberborn, Strategy and Tactics, Episode 1. So, Timberborn, a banished-like with beavers, this survival city builder has a few unique differences from Banished, which was the first game that I ever covered on my channel. And today we're going to, like my original Banished series, dive into this in hard mode. Now, I did some polls, both up on my Patreon and on YouTube itself, as to what specific race and map combination I should cover. And you guys voted that you wanted the Iron Teeth. That was on my YouTube poll. Defectors of the traditional timber ways, they mastered iron and science to build advanced machinery. So yeah, these guys are, the folktales are more of the work with natures. These guys are like, we're going to do our own thing. The whole fact that the humans didn't make it through not working through nature don't faze these guys. So they have some differences that we need to be mindful of when we go and build them. And now as for the map, that was also chosen by my Patreons, and that was Terraces, 256 by 256. And we'll get into the specifics of this map. And of course, as promised, hard mode. The humans did not make it, and neither will you. We start with scarce resources, droughts are severe and become even worse over time. It is time we sharpen our incisors. So let's dive in and see if we can carve out a living here in the Terraces as the Iron Teeth. Let's begin. Okay, first things first, whenever you start a game, no matter the settings, pause it. Do yourself a favor and pause it. Do not let time tick, because every moment is precious. So here we are on the Terraces. Now what's the deal with the Terraces? Well, if we can swing the camera around like here, we are essentially trapped on a gigantic plateau. Yes, there's some water here, but yeah, we're stuck on the high ground. And, you know, getting ourselves down to the low ground, to the rest of the map here, is going to take some engineering in of itself. So our initial area is kind of limited. Not to mention, speaking of kind of limited, we only have one swath of trees to access ourselves in the beginning. If you remember from my last map, when I streamed on the Meander map, we had two large swaths of trees to start out. So we need to very carefully manage our initial lumber supply and what we do with the lumber that we start the game with. Now there is one upside to this particular map, and that is that especially unlike the Meander map, it is easy to set up your initial dam. Our river, if we swing over here, we can see we have just 2 water source tiles, but that's enough to make this little tiny mountain stream here, which then waterfalls down here and does this and that and the other. But we can dam it right here with just 2 tiles. The Meander map, which we played previously, required at least a minimum of like 5, 6, 7 tiles to dam. So one of the things you want to keep in mind is how difficult of an initial dam is your particular map. But we are going to bank on the fact that this is an easy dam and build accordingly. Now then, as far as setting up our initial layouts, my first initial suggestion is to set up some lumberjack flags, and we want 3 of these things. Generally want them so that they cover all of the trees, or at least most of them cover all the trees. And also try to, if at all possible, stay off the grass. Let's see, yeah, this one can cover all of those trees, 1, 2, and we'll put one up here too. We have a nice natural freebie ramp up here, so our beavers can go up and down here, even though we don't know how to build stairs yet. Let's hook these back up to our main building here. Now, that's just 3 of those. The other thing we want to get is a single gatherer flag, and you want this obviously near your starting supply of berry bushes. Every map starts with a patch of berry bushes. We have a fairly generous patch of berry bushes, but berry bushes cannot sustain the colony by itself. That being said, it is useful to have, so Again, try to place it not on the grass, but as long as if you see the little border that you see from here, make sure the border encapsulates the berry bushes fully so that your beavers, your gatherers, can reach all of those different things. So let's place one right here. Get our stuff going here. And again, whenever possible, try to avoid stepping on the grass. I mean, you're going to have to build stuff on the grass, but try to avoid it because that grass is, you can plant trees in grass, you can plant crops in grass. The more space that you save in building stuff that doesn't require grass, like these huts or these flags or whatnot, the more space you save yourself for stuff that does require the grass. So it's just a little something to maximize your land usage here. Now, as far as getting our initial outlay started here, the game starts you out with just 2 people employed here. We want, at least for this initial burst here, we want all 4. So we're going to unpause here. Our 4 builders will then go out and build each of these 4 different flags because they don't actually require any materials. So yeah, this gets these up and running quite quickly, which is exactly what we want. As soon as we see them up and running, we'll pause again and lay down our next stuff. While we're waiting for that, actually, we got to give this town a name. Now, I know most of my city builder things are called Ficklewood. When we called our meander map Ficklewood, so let's take a break from that. Let's call this town, let's say these beavers, they're very industrious, but maybe they're not the most creative. So they're going to call their town Dam. So these are now the Dam Beavers, and we are building our Dam town. Our Dam Lumberjacks are getting themselves up and running. Also, don't forget to mark all of your trees for cutting. And there's no reason to not mark trees as cutting. You want literally every tree that you can reach marked for cutting. And the beavers are smart enough not to chop down the saplings until they are big enough to be a full-grown tree and therefore yield their full log amounts. So we got 1 unemployed here, 2 lumberjacks, but that's okay. We can actually kick 1 person out. These others are, building their things. And now with 1 person kicked out from here, that's enough for everybody to take up a job in the newly built flags. So we'll have 1 gatherer, 3 lumberjacks, and go from there. Now, one of the things that I like to build early, is a lot of people, the next thing they'll want to build is a water pump. And that would not be a wrong answer. A water pump next is absolutely crucial because in addition to food, your beavers need water. It is actually these 2, and only these 2 needs are the things that can kill your beavers if you don't have enough of them, hunger and thirst. Everything else is just gravy. Some of them give you some nice benefits if you satisfy them, but not having, say, comfort or awe is not going to cause your beavers to die. All right, so we're getting these in here. What we want to do, we don't actually have a proper storage for these berries, but we have a sort of a partway storage here. Same goes with the logs here. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Pinstar, why don't you build a wood storage? The industrial log pile. The problem with this is, as the iron teeth, these the log piles actually cost you lumber to build. If we were the folktales, we could build them for free. But these actually cost these guys. The upside that we get for those is that we can build buildings on top of it. But we're not really at a place where we want to start stacking stuff. We don't have the tech for it. Not to mention the local storages in these little lumberjack flags will do just fine. We're going to be spending the wood as we get it. So we don't need to worry about coming up, running up against the log limit for each of these flags because we're going to be using them. So for the time being, no wood storage. The wood storage will be here at the flags. Let's speed things up just a smidge here. Now, yeah, so once they get 12 logs, we can lay down our next project. And I want that to actually be an inventor. We want to actually get this up and running first. Then we will get the water pump. Don't worry, we're not going to sleep on the water pump for too long. As far as where we place the inventor, there's no locational benefits for them. I'm just going to put it, right here. It's nearby. It's near the wood piles, so they'll get built faster. In fact, if we really wanted to optimize this, we could put it like right here. But I have other things that I want to put here in due time. So while we get this, our three builders are getting busy in terms of getting our things built, and this'll go up and go up pretty darn quickly, especially since we waited for the wood to be ready. Oh yeah, one other thing that we want to do here to sort of get the most out of our beavers is the work day. It starts out at a default of 16 hours, but sleep is not one of those things that will kill your beavers if they go down to 0. If sleep goes down to 0, they'll just pass out and sleep, and they'll sleep on the ground without too much ill effects. So what I'm going to do, let's kick you up to 21 hours. This is not necessarily a paradise for our beavers, at least not yet. All right, buildings lack workers. That should, at the end of this, we can kick down one of our workers here to immediately start occupying the dam. And then once we get ourselves 12 more logs, which we have, we can start setting up our pump. Now, as far as the pump, where we want the pump to go around here, part of me would want to put it up here, but there's a whole bunch of trees in the way, and it's kind of hard to snake a path in there. So I think what we're going to do, since we want to build out here anyway, we're going to build the pump near here too. So let's run our road out here, out to here. This is where we're going to build our 2-tile dam yet, but we don't need to dam it yet. We want to set up the dam before the first dry season comes, because if we don't have that set up, then is bad times. But until then, we should be okay. Yeah, we'll put it up here. This should be fine. All right, now we want to keep an eye on this. Once our berry picker has filled up our berry storage here, or at least our temporary berry storage, which we have, we want to disable this gather flag. Don't delete this building or you'll lose the 20 berries that they've built up. But this will just give us a little bit more starting food until we can get our farms up and running. And then we want to get that extra worker shuffled over here. Get used to manually maneuvering your workers, especially in the early game, because that way you can make sure they are working on exactly what they need to work on. Sooner rather than later. To help these guys path a little faster, we'll put a little alternate path here so they're not walking further than they need to. That'll help speed up the construction of this. Nightfall is going to hit. They can survive the night without drinking water for one day, but we're going to want to make sure this is up and running soon. That's the other reason why we want them working 21 hours, because even though it's nighttime, if we had left it at 16, they'd all be, farting around and snoozing at this point. And we do not have time for farting around. All right, so let's speed you up a little bit. Also, as a note, I'm going to be doing my name in-game patrons here, but what I've decided to do is I'm actually going to wait until we have newborns to assign them to that. That way I don't accidentally name one of the starting adults that has 3 days left to live before dying of old age, because that would be kind of crappy. All right, so we had one kid age up, and they immediately took the job as a water pump operator, which is exactly what we need, because now the whole colony is going to be getting thirsty. We have plenty of logs here, so we want to start on our next project. And that's going to be our proper farmhouse. We want to build these early, even though we're not really in dire straits with the food. We want to build these sooner rather than later. And here we want to get this placed in a way that it can touch as much of the green area as possible. So we're going to place this right here. There we go. That should be good. And then our builders will go and start working on that. Everyone's getting hungry, everyone's getting thirsty, but they will, you know, we have food, we have water, we have what we need. Nobody's going to be dying on me. And yeah, everybody goes and blitzes for some water. We're also approaching our first, the first thing we want to do with our science, and it's going to be a little bit something non-standard. You might not expect this, but this is what we want. The first building that we unlock with science is not actually going to be the forester. A lot of people would say that's the first thing you should unlock, and this is certainly the second thing we want to unlock. But I have a little bit of a tech that I think is worth the slight diversion, and that is decoration shrub. Yes, even though we are at really early in the game, and, you know, we're still getting our, you know, bare bone essentials set up, a shrubbery is actually kind of worth the diversion here. Why? Well, first off, it's only 20 science and it's only 12 wood. We can spare that amount and still be on course to get our core stuff set up. And we're only going to build one of these things because we don't want to be dotting them all over town. And what we want to do here is we want to place it next to the water pump. Why? Because the water pump, everybody needs to visit the water pump in order to get their water. So everybody is going to be passing by this shrub. Now, one thing we do want to do is actually take two of our workers and boot them out of here. We'll have our one last worker actually build the shrub, but these guys need to get their stuff planting. So what we're going to do is we're going to define an area for crops. And yes, we do want to start with carrots. For carrots, what I usually like to do is I'm going to do like a 1x3, 1x4 line here out to the edge here, like that. Then we're also going to plant some potatoes, and we're going to plant an appreciably larger space, more of them. Now, potatoes require some processing. We need a grill in order to cook them to make them usable food. But what we want to do is we want our farmers to be busy, so we're going to have them plant the carrots first. In fact, we want to prioritize carrots. We want them to get that in the ground first because we're going to need those carrots sooner rather than later. We also want to prioritize planting to make sure that they always replant patches as they get them. All right, so there we go. We can slow this down. Well, actually, no, we don't need to slow it down. But yeah, now we've got our one builder working on this. We'll get another builder going once we have another young'un grow up here for us. But our two farmers are, most importantly, getting these plants into the ground so that they have the full time to start growing. They're eventually going to pass out as the night gets late. But that's okay. That's okay. This is going to prevent us from having food problems, getting the food started this early. Yeah, there they go. They're passing out, but that's fine. And yeah, we want them to start the carrots because the sooner the carrots get planted, the sooner they will be ready to harvest and also ready to, be useful for us. Also, the nice thing about these things here, you get these icons when they are out of it. This doesn't necessarily mean they're going to die. Although, speaking of die, it looks like we have an early drought. So our immediate thing here is we need to get that dam set up. Like, without fail, we need that dam set up. And the dam here is 20 logs per tile, so 40 in total. As far as what we're going to do, we need more builders in this thing here. What I think I'm actually going to do is just to make sure. No, we don't want to delete the building. I'm going to pause the building. We have enough stuff planted here that I'm going to grab these guys and throw them onto the build team. Because this dam needs to get built sooner rather than later. I mean, we still need more lumber harvested, so I'm going to keep our lumberjacks employed here. You are busy though, so when you see them standing in front of the huts there, now we can safely pause that one and have them be a builder here. Probably because that's the farthest one. Yeah, they're going to finish this first. We could just adjust the priority here, but I think we'll be okay as long as we get everything in place here. If we get another grow up, we can toss them into the farm, because we have our full town center, our dam town center. So our next grow up can resume planting, but this should be enough to keep our food situation from being problematic. This is a bit of a concerning combo because the drought's coming a day earlier than usual. But now that we have the plant in place here, people are getting aesthetics, and that gives them a working speed 10% bonus. So that's the whole reason why we did this little diversion for that aesthetics. And because everybody needs to come down here to take a drink, they are going to be exposed to the bush. To the shrubbery. Build me a shrubbery. A damn shrubbery. For the town of Dam, of course. Alright. We should be okay here. Again, the 21 hours is going to definitely help us out here. Because they're going to keep on keeping on. I do wish one of the other little tykes would grow up, because we do need the extra hands on deck. But it wouldn't be a survival city builder series if we didn't get the critical infrastructure that we need in place right as the dangerous period starts. If you remember from my Crossroads build, finishing that last house right before winter. Okay, we got someone here, so we can unpause our farmhouse and get that one beaver planting, so that we can keep this area productive. All right, we got our first tile done. We have 1.8 days. If we don't finish the second tile, it is literally game over. We are dead if we do not finish that, because we don't actually have any water storage here. We need the pump to be able to operate itself. But I think we'll be okay. I think we'll get this in place before the dry season. And yeah, you only really need one beaver to work the farm when you're just in the initial planting phase. And there we go. It is done. Our dam is done. The dam's dam is done. All right, so next thing that we want to get building here. First off, we can... You're still 20 logs. Let's do something about that. We need a warehouse, a small warehouse. Because we need some places to fit these different items. This one's going to be for berries. The other thing we want to do is actually start our reproduction. This is one of the... actually, this is the way that the iron teeth breed. Is through these breeding pods. They don't actually have babies the natural way. They kind of breed them in a womb with a view. So we are going to get this started, and this requires berries and water. Actually, that was the other thing we want to do. We do want a small water tank, but we're actually going to put the water tank over here because, again, we want everyone to come over here and admire the shrubbery in order to have their water. But we do want a little extra storage. But you know what? Actually, that's probably not super high priority at the moment. I'm more interested in getting our breeding pod up and running sooner rather than later. And we can place that near here. That also having a storage for the berries will allow us to have our berry picker continue harvesting, because there's still tons of berries here. And our food's getting a little bit low here. Luckily our carrots are going to come in pretty soon. All right, we have another grown up. Let's see. Yeah, we can turn on the gatherer flag now. Did we lose someone on something? Oh no, they just took on here. Yeah, we don't need two farmers. Not at the moment. Once the carrots come in, we'll need 2 farmers. But during the planting season, I'd rather have our berry picker doing their thing. Also in here, we can turn it off for everything and make it berries only. That way our one gatherer hut doesn't become overloaded. All right, breeding halted, but that's it. Just somebody needs to deposit some water and some berries in there, which is also why we built it right across from our berry storage. All right, we can actually nix. We can shut down the farmhouse for the moment. Probably, yeah, get our lumberjack back online here. Waste not, want not, and what have you. All right, I think it is now. Now we can build our water tank, and again, we want this. We want this over here. Yeah, this is, well, if we wanted to be really if we really wanted to utilize the area, but nah, we'll do it right here. So whether they're going to the pump or the water tank, they're still forced to admire the shrubbery. You will enjoy my shrubbery, and you will work harder for it. All right, and we are almost up to 60 science, which is what we need for our forester. But that's we also need some planks, so we need to get a few other things built in as well. So once they finish that water tank, that will be our next project here. All right, breeding has begun. And we start things off with a 6-day drought. Wow. They are not pulling punches on me this time. Sometimes, like, they usually start 4 or 5 days. Nope, we're going 6 days right off the bat. All right, game, I see how it is. Well, I think this is still a strong start, despite the initial rather nasty drought that came actually kind of early. So, if you guys like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment. Good, bad, or indifferent, your feedback is always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar, signing out. See ya!